Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. Contrary to Natwar Singh's claim that Sonia Gandhi refused the Prime Ministership because her son Rahul was scared she would be killed, Ram Pradhan, a former Home Secretary who worked with Sonia Gandhi from 1999 to 2003, says she told him and ML Fotedar 5 years before 2004 that she would not accept the top job. In part 2, we interview Ram Pradhan for his full story on this continuing controversy. But first, the Congress party's strange attempt to stall the insurance bill, which it says it supports. Is this hypocrisy? Is it politics? Or is it an attempt to bargain for something else? That's the first debate tonight. And now joining me to discuss the fate of the insurance bill is the BJP's Minister of Coal and Power, Piyush Goyal, Congress's former Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Manish Tiwari, NCP's former Minister of Heavy Industries, Praful Patel, and BJD's Lok Sabha leader, Jay Panda. Manish Tiwari, given that Congress has been pushing since 2008 to raise FDI caps in insurance to 49%, now that the BJP has brought a bill to achieve precisely this, instead of supporting it, why do you want to send the bill to a select committee and delay it by anything up to 6 months?
Well, Mr. Thapar, I think there's a preceding question which you need to answer, which you need to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party. And the question is that why is it from 2004 to 2014 they kept on regularly and repeatedly opposing the proposal to raise the FDI cap from 26 to 49%. Would they be kind enough to explain to the nation as to why after coming into government, they've had a change of heart and they've suddenly seen the wisdom of raising it from 26 to 49%.
So is that why you're holding out now? Is that why you're holding out now? Is that the explanation? You can't have your cake.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. No. The explanation is that first of all, please stand up and candidly tell the nation why did you oppose this economic reform for 10 years? And number two, why have you had this change of heart now? So therefore, make a candid admission of political expediency and then obviously you'll get support. But you cannot indulge in this chicanery that you oppose for 10 years, you get your standing committee to recommend that it is not in national interest to raise it from 26 to 49%, a standing committee which was headed by none else than the former finance minister, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, and then the moment you come into government, you do a 180-degree turn.
Let me bring in Piyush Goyal, who's with us at the moment by telephone. Piyush Goyal, what you're hearing is this. Congress is not supporting you because you didn't support them. They believe you've changed your mind for reasons of political expediency. That's the second reason why they're not supporting you. And they want you to make a clean admission that you got it wrong for 8 or 9 preceding years before they agreed to support you now. How do you respond to that?
Sadly, Karan, my good friend from the Congress, has no case. Therefore, all he can do is try and deflect the issue to try and bring in what happened earlier. The fact of the matter is the Bharatiya Janata Party had brought in insurance and FDI. We are the original proponents of 49%. When we proposed it, when the NDA was in power, it was the Congress. And at that time, the standing committee was with the Congress. We were informed in government by the Congress spokesperson, Mr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh, that the then leader of the Congress, Sonia Gandhi, is not in favor of 49%. And they requested the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Vajpayee, to not go in for 49, but they were comfortable with 26. Mr. Vajpayee, being the statesman that he is, said that he would rather go with the consensus and the mood of the Parliament at that point of time. And we brought in 26%. We announced in Parliament that we will review this position as time passes by. In 2008, when this was brought in half-heartedly by the Congress, they did not push it very much because they had their own internal problems, first with the left supporting them, then with the Trinamool supporting them. Finally, when it came before the standing committee, it was the opinion of the entire committee. It was not a BJP committee. It was a committee of Parliament of 30 members cutting across party lines. The presentations and the safeguards that were offered in that bill were not good enough for all the parties. and they all unanimously decided to send it back to the government for review and reconsideration.
All right.
Our concerns were about the control and management. Our concerns were about the benefits and the activities of the private insurance, which we flagged off to the government. Thereafter, the government never came back with the proposal of 49% to Parliament.
Gentlemen,
but that is for the Congress to answer, not for us.
All right. You know, Praful Patel, what you've heard between the Congress spokesperson and Piyush Goyal is in fact a battle over the past. None of them at this moment are addressing the need for the bill and the need for 49% at this moment. That's where I want to bring you in. Your party, the NCP, has broken ranks with your ally, Congress, to support the BJP on this critical issue. Explain to me why you've chosen to take that step.
Karan, now I've heard both my friends, and it's like I did wrong, so I will also do wrong, and two wrongs will make a right. I think the way both of my friends have presented it, and I am not getting into partisan politics, and please do not look at this as breaking ranks from UPA or somewhere else. We are part of the UPA. We fought an election with the Congress, and whether we won or lost, I don't think that's an issue that we are running away from any responsibility. So the limited point here is that both the friends are making a point that insurance reform is necessary and opening up this sector is necessary. The only issue is of timing and the methodology, and because politically it was expedient for one to oppose it, the other opposed it, and so on, and that's where it's going back and forth. The loser in this whole bargain is the country, the people of this country who want radical reform in insurance, who are not getting, you know, I mean, like if you compare Indian insurance of medical sector, of you know, fire, accident and other claims, including crop insurance, I think our record is very abysmal.
Okay.
And we really need to make a big pitch for this. Number two, if even this government is talking, or our government was talking of big infrastructure ticket reforms, insurance, pension funds, these are really the way you can fund large projects. So our point and our position is very limited. Our limited position is, and more adding to that is, that in 2008 when this was brought to the cabinet, we ourselves, including myself, are part of the cabinet, and we supported it then, and we thought it was necessary and good for the country. What happened later in the standing committee, I don't think Piyush Goyal is also right by simply saying that the standing committee is of 30 people and therefore all of us set it back. No, I'm not going into that.
Why you think it's important
all
to
I'm
pass
saying
it now?
is, no, I think it's a crying need of the nation. It's nothing to do with this government or that government. And we felt that it is, and people like us, I've said it even in the floor of Parliament on the budget speech when I was giving, that yes, we support 49% FDI in pension, in insurance, in defense, and various other sectors which would really benefit by FDI. Yes, in this point, no, this limited point again, no, you must hear this.
Quickly though.
The issue here, which I heard the Congress raising, was that there is an FII element which has been brought in by this government. I heard the finance minister and the parliamentary affairs minister in our meeting the other day, where they said that let the Congress or other parties also bring whatever changes they would like to, and they would be willing to address it. If they do address those changes, I don't see a reason why we or Congress or anybody else should oppose it. The fact is, yes, political expediency is not something for me to answer. My party alone cannot make a difference for the passage of the bill. But let's not bring in the UPA politics and the Congress NCP drifting away.
I take your point entirely, and I'm going to pick up on some of the critical points you made there, particularly the claim that Arun Jaitley is prepared to address all Congress's concerns, and therefore Congress has no need to send this issue to the select committee because he'll take care of them on the floor of the House. But before I come to that, I want to bring you in, Jayapant, and I want to put this to you. Your support is a support that is critical to the government, and they need more parties like yours if they're going to get this through the Rajya Sabha. What was it that convinced the BJD that this is a bill that needs to be passed now without going to a select committee, and that it's urgent for the country to do it in this session itself? What was it that convinced you of that important need?
First of all, Karan, let me clarify that I personally have supported this for many years, and unlike some of the other parties whose positions have shifted, our position has shifted for the positive. Even though we have gone from being in the opposition earlier to being in the opposition today, we are now supporting this, and it's partly because we have said that we will play a positive and constructive role in opposition this time. But more importantly than that, I think we have experienced in Odisha itself how our citizens are suffering from not having access to widespread insurance facilities. You know, just like in other sectors, just like you've had with telephones, cars and two-wheelers, which used to be elite, but today are much more mass market, much more accessible to the Aam Aadmi. We have had situations in Odisha where, because of natural calamities, because of accidents, the government has to step in to compensate citizens because insurance is not available in every village. It is not available to the average citizen. So I think we've realized that if we want to make that happen, we must ensure that adequate investment is there for insurance. And if today you can contemplate FDI increases in areas such as railways and even defense production, then certainly insurance should be no holy cow.
Let me bring you in, Manish Tiwari, and put this to you. I'm going to first quote to you your former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, who told PTI on the 31st of July, and here's the quotation: "Government is a continuing entity. Each government should build on what has been accomplished by previous governments." And then he added, "I sincerely hope that bill will be passed in this session." Why is Congress not heeding his advice?
Well, Karan, let me respond to that straight off the bat. Is a select committee procedure something which is outside the parliamentary domain? May I remind you that once the Lokpal bill was passed in the Lok Sabha with the support of the Bharatiya Janata Party, when it came to the Raj Sabha, on the objections of the BJP, was it not referred to a select committee? Didn't the select committee deliberate upon it? After that it came back to the House. Then also amendments were proposed and the Lokpal. So therefore, was that a wrong procedure?
No.
Was that a wrong procedure? So, Mr. Thapar, was that a wrong procedure? Till 2014, May, the country did not require FDI insurance.
Mr. Tiwari, do you have to refer everything to a select committee?
The country suddenly requires FDI and insurance, and therefore, if there's somebody who raises legitimate concerns, says refer it to the select committee. So therefore, issues like FII, etc., can be addressed in detail. You know, you are saying as if we are committing.
Let me put a question to you. Let me put this to you. You heard your own ally, not Piyush Goyal, but your own ally Praful Patel say that at the all-party meeting, Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, gave an assurance that he was prepared to accommodate all Congress's concerns on the floor of the House. In other words, he's prepared to agree to all your concerns so that the bill can be passed in this session. Why then do you need a select committee? If he's agreeing to all that you want to do so that he can pass the bill immediately, why still insist on a select committee unless you want to stall?
For the simple reason, Mr. Thapar, the devil lies in the detail. The fine print of the bill needs to be looked at carefully, and referring it to a select committee is not referring it to some Martians who are based on planet Venus. It is a part of parliamentary procedure to get bills scrutinized by standing committees and select committees. So therefore, you know, if you've not allowed it to fructify for 10 long years, you can refer it to a select committee and wait another 3 months.
Absolutely.
Heavens are not going to fall.
You're giving your game away every time you refer to the BJP not allowing it to fructify for 10 years. You're really suggesting you want to give them the trouble they gave you. You're enjoying Schadenfreude, and the smile on your face suggests what I'm saying is right.
I've lost you. I've lost the audio.
Don't worry, I wasn't being complimentary.
You were talking about
I wasn't being complimentary. I was pointing out that you're enjoying the problem you're creating because this is revenge. Piyush Goyal, 2 quick questions to you. First of all, can you confirm for the audience what in fact the NCP leader has said? That your finance minister made it clear at the all-party meeting that he was prepared to accommodate all Congress's concerns. There was no need to go to the select committee. He would accept them on the floor of the House if the bill could be passed in this session. Would you confirm that first?
Absolutely. In fact, the Honorable Finance Minister has only made very nominal amendments. Some things like the year 2004 or 8 is replaced by 2014. Many of the amendments are very nominal, which don't have any relevance. And in any case, not only the Congress, we are willing to discuss with all the parties and have an open mind. We do not believe in pushing our way through. We believe in a consensus building approach, just like Mr. Vajpayee in 2002 had accepted readily the Congress request to allow 26%. Mr. Jetli and Mr. Modi are both with an open mind to look at the concerns of all parties, address as much as possible, and I don't think there is any great difference of opinion.
Let me put something else
The Act that my colleague Manish is referring to had hundreds of changes.
Don't go backwards into time.
Let
me put something else to you.
Another committee.
A lot of people are absolutely convinced, particularly after Arun Jaitley has confirmed that he will accommodate Congress's concerns on the floor of the House. People are convinced that if Congress still insists on a select committee, they're simply using the select committee as leverage for the LOP. Would you be prepared to grant the LOP, particularly because it's a status that on which even Praful Patel totally supports Congress, and many in the country feel we need an LOP? Would you grant it so that measures like your insurance bill go through and other measures like labour law reforms, which you're very keen on as well? And again, you need the Congress's support in the Rajya Sabha. So why hold up reforms over something like the LOP, which should anyway happen? Will you grant it?
Karan, that is not for the BJP or the NDA or the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister to grant. It is the prerogative and privilege of the Honourable Speaker of the Lok Sabha. She will go by the legal position on that. I don't think national interest and I don't think economic policy is something which has to be bargained like this. If the Congress is indulging in this kind of bargain, I think it's a sad day for India.
You know, I want to bring you in, Praful Patel, because you were the one who first made that announcement.
Karan, allow me to come in for a moment.
In a moment's time, but I'm not going to allow you to interrupt anyone, so hold your peace till I give you a chance to come in. I'm first going to Praful Patel. Praful Patel, you were the person who made that announcement, which has now been completely confirmed by Piyush Goyal, that Arun Jaitley is prepared to accommodate all Congress's concerns on the floor of the House, that there is therefore no need for a select committee. When I put that to Manish Tiwari, he said that the devil was in the details. You know this bill just as much as he does. Are there details in this bill that require a select committee? Are there details here in terms of language and in terms of concepts that require a select committee? Or is Congress concocting excuses to play for time because it wants to use this for other political purposes?
Let me make one thing very clear, Karan, that certainly there is a lot of detailing still required in the bill. There's no doubt about that. It's not as simple as Piyush has said that there are just some very minor clauses here and there. There are some important changes. But again, if the finance minister has said, and if the Congress is able to work out a formulation which is acceptable to them and to other political parties, and of course to the government, there can be a way out. Now it's a question of now a select committee is according to me important, but it's important only if you disagree. It's not a question in this case, and I don't know how much the Congress's disagreement arises, because the bill as it is presented has certain changes definitely than what it was in the past. But those changes, if can be addressed by the Congress and the BJP, it will be a good sign. I'm telling you this in the light of what Piyush just mentioned about the LOP, and this being a constitutional and a legal position. Well, so be it, but there are various ways to overcome these kind of difficulties also, and we fully support the Congress. In fact, I would say it's good for parliamentary democracy to have a leader of the opposition. Even if the party does not fulfill the 10% requirement, we as UPA allies have lent support to the Congress, and with the numbers of a pre-poll alliance, I'm sure if the consensus of the House is there, the principal ruling party decides to accord the status of LOP, the Speaker can find a way. No, I'm not trying to talk about LOP. Let's not
argue the case for the LOP here. I'm simply asking whether Congress is leveraging this to gain an LOP.
But one thing is certain, one thing is certain, that Arun Jaitley did mention and was trying to be as accommodating as possible. I do not know whether the questions which are in the Congress's mind were spelt out in that meeting. They certainly weren't. But if at all they are very serious, which is beyond what I have been able to read, except the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, the FII component was one of the most important issues. And if the FII component can be addressed by the government to the satisfaction of the Congress, I think largely the issues which are there in the bill can be resolved.
Very quickly, before I go, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you because you've raised an important issue. I'll come to Jay Panda in a moment's time, but I'm going back to Piyush Goyal first for clarification. One of the concerns made clear by Ghulam Nabi Azad, unfortunately not by Manish Tiwari, because he's simply talking about Schadenfreude and wanting to get revenge. But the concern made clear by Ghulam Nabi Azad was that you have not clarified what you mean by FDI, and you are incorporating FII with FDI, and he doesn't like that. He'd like 49% to be entirely pure FDI. The FII component should be separate and additional. Would you be willing to accommodate Congress on that key concern?
We are absolutely fine with 49% FDI. We are absolutely fine to keep it open. We are willing to have a dialogue, and whatever is the consensus in the meeting, all-party meeting, we are happy to go with that. For us, in any case, FDI is a much more stable money, is a much more long-lasting money. I think we'll prefer FDI 49%. We are agnostic to that issue.
You know, Jay Panda, the government is banking on an all-party meeting tomorrow at 9:30. Clearly, they're not going to get Congress support so quickly. Whether Mr. Patel can influence Sonia Gandhi and Anand Sharma and Mr. Kharge to get them to change their position is another matter. You certainly heard that Mr. Patel believes that there are no real devils in the detail that require a select committee, particularly when the BJP is willing to accommodate. But in the absence of Mr. Patel working a miracle with Congress, you're going to be needed to try and persuade other parties like the AIA, DMK, the JDU, the SP and the BSP to come on board. Are you willing to put yourselves out to help the BJP and create support in the Rajya Sabha? Because I don't think they can do it on their own. So will you put yourselves out to help them?
Well, we have already announced our position of supporting this initiative, but obviously I cannot speak for other parties. The reality is, if this gets referred to a select committee, it would be somewhat of a tragedy, because this is one bit of legislation that has been so thoroughly discussed over the past dozen or so years that there is really nothing left to understand any new nuance.
I was actually asking whether you would help the BJP get support from other parties in the Rajya Sabha. Will you come in on their side and canvass on their behalf?
I don't think it's appropriate for a party in the opposition to go out canvassing for the government. We can and we have expressed our explicit support for this legislation, and they do of course have what I would call the nuclear option if they cannot get the consensus in the Rajya Sabha to call for a joint session and get this and other contentious issues passed.
Let me put two quick questions to you, Manish Tiwari. The first question is that not just the government, not just most economists in the country, but practically all foreign investors as well, believe that if you allow insurance caps to increase, something like 22,000 crore more of money will come in, which is badly needed. And secondly, it would send out a vital message to the outside world that India is opening itself up to FDI. Given the economic problem we face and the need to speed up growth and the need to get in money for investment, this is critical for the economy. Are you going to stall a measure for 6 months at the cost of the economy? Because that's the message you're giving the country.
Well, Karan, allow me to quickly respond to 3 points. First of all, the insurance bill is not a quid pro quo for getting the LOP. That is not the politics which the Congress does. That's unfortunately the politics which the BJP does. And I can only refer you to the former Prime Minister's press conference about the extraneous conditions which the BJP attached to the passage of the GST
the second
bill.
Point. The second point. We're running out of time. Your second point.
Agnostic towards FII money. Allow me to now complete. If the BJP was really agnostic towards FII money, then why did they put the proposal in the first place? And number 3, if they really wanted to send a positive signal that this is a business-friendly government, why go and scupper the WTO talks on the customs union at the 11th hour after agreeing to a migration path in Bali in December of 2013.
Right.
So therefore, it is not the opposition which is sending out a negative signal to the world. It is the government which is sending out a negative signal to the world.
I can see Piyush Goyal's hand going up. But before I go to Piyush Goyal, I want to put one more quick question to you, Manish Tiwari. Do you know, the most you can achieve actually is to stall this measure by 3, 4 or 5 months. Because if you insist on it going to a select committee, Arun Jaitley will withdraw the bill from the Rajya Sabha, reintroduce it at the Lok Sabha, get it passed very easily there, bring it back to the Rajya Sabha, where whether you defeat it or you stall it, he'll have the right to go straight to a joint session. And there it will be passed. So all you're going to achieve is costing India 5 months' time. Is it really worth playing politics to that extent? All you get is 5 months full stop.
Thapar,
you won't get your select committee.
Thapar,
you won't get the select committee. That's what I'm pointing out.
So, Mr. Thapar, what you are trying to point out to me is that the government's way of doing legislative business is to try and steamroll things through. Is that democratic or is it majoritarian? You know, is that consensus building or is that authoritarian? And if this is the kind of constructive approach the government is going to have, then God help the government and God help this country.
All right, that may be your interpretation. Many others would think that steamrolling this bill through would be in the greatest national interest and Congress is the obstacle that needs to be steamrolled, but that would be an interpretation you wouldn't accept. Piyush Goyal, let me put this to you. You've got an all-party meeting tomorrow at 9:30. Do you really believe you can get enough support in the Rajya Sabha to overcome Congress and the left voting against this bill?
The BJP is an inclusive party. We do not give up. We do not believe that even our friends in the Congress will necessarily play obstructionist. I'm sure they will see reason when our leaders present to them all the various options and reflect and ask them to reflect in their own mind commitment to economic reform, which they have been tom-tomming all these months and years. Also the fact that when the budget spoke of insurance opening up, their leader in the floor of the House said, "Der aaye, durust aaye." I thought that was the acceptance of the proposal. But just one short point, Karan, if I may. Mr. Tiwari has flagged off the issue of WTO. I would like to ask him, is his party in favor of bartering away the interests of India's farmers, the interests of food security, and the interests of the poor, without getting WTO to give us...
You got your answer back.
Mr. Goyal.
No, gentlemen, I don't want you to deflect and hijack the show. For those who care, insurance is too important. No, I'm not going to let the two of you carry on quarreling. I want to give the last word in a sense to Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel, if there's anyone who has the capacity to prevail upon Congress in the bigger national interest on this issue of insurance, is your party. Will Mr. Pawar try and make a special effort to convince Congress? Will you exert yourself on this issue to say, look, don't be sticks in the mud on an issue where the country's economic future is at stake? A quick answer, because I'm terribly out of time. Will you make that effort?
No, no. We certainly, what I said earlier is a step in that direction. We would look at it in the larger interest of the country. And as I said, if the BJP is able to address the concerns raised by the Congress party, and some of those concerns are legitimate, I have no doubt about it.
I'm asking if you will prevail upon Congress to change their mind. Will you prevail upon Congress?
No. We are not going to exert pressure, but we will certainly make everybody, including the BJP and the Congress, try to see reason in the larger interest of the country.
All right,
we will try to make everybody see reason.
Let's hope that voice of reason prevails upon your ally, and your ally realizes that there are some points in time when politics should stop, Schadenfreude should cease, and you get together, even if it means at the cost of having to submit yourself. But equally, let's hope the BJP realizes that maybe if granting LOP gets the reforms they need, it's more important than saying no. We're in a very interesting situation. Politics, reform, rivalries, personalities are all clashing together, and at stake is the future of the country and the health of the economy. We'll have to wait and see what happens.